W.E.B. Du Bois produced this data visualization chart for the Paris warfare in 1900. It was hand sketched by a group of students at Atlantic University under his direction. And of course, as you can tell, he didn't have Excel, he didn't have PowerPoint, he didn't have any of the visualization software. It was a work of genius because it depicts the story that the percentage of African Americans who were slaves during this time period from 1790 to 1860 was very high, much more than 85%. But at the end of the Civil War, with Lincoln um, freeing the slaves, 100% became free. So this is a very passionate, very evocative visualization. The solid colors, the height of the of this chart, even though it's basically every chart that's set to 100%, it really conveys this powerful depiction of the history. How do we make this in modern day software in Flourish Studio? So this is why I create, and this is what we will learn how to do in this video. Could we make something like this? By default, it's very wide. So if I were to shrink this window, this is actually the effect he's going after. It's showing this massive cliff of the percentage of slaves going down to zero at this in this time period. So using Flourish, we actually need to create two separate items. The first item is we need to create the chart itself, and then we need to add in the annotations or the text. So you have to create a Flourish story, and this is within the story you can add in the annotations, the data points, and these two labels, the words free and the word slaves. Okay, so that's the original. This is the Flourish. We're going to start from scratch, beginning with the data. And by the way, if you want to learn more about this, the history, uh, Jason Forrest has written one of the best essays on how this all came about and its impact on recasting or changing the narrative about African Americans at the turn of the 20th century. Okay, so let's begin. We're gonna look at the data. The data is as simple as you can possibly get. The years, the percentage slave, the percentage free. So let's take this data and copy it. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna go to Flourish and open a new one, create a brand new from scratch. So first I have to select the type of chart I want. And you have to look around. You can search for it, or you can just open more and try to see if there's the area chart. That's a percentage. I think this one actually is the closest. So upon opening this, I see there's some data over here. I just go to the data tab, I delete everything. So Control A, delete, and then I paste my data in. You have to do Control V to paste, Control V to paste. Paste. And it detects that you want A, B, and C. We have a good starting point. The colors are not like what we want. So I go to color. I say, according to the variable names, slave and free, I have to type those two keywords in. And the color is, I can use the HTML code. So I'm going to put 00000. And then free, let me just make sure. Yeah, free, the spelling has to be exactly the same. Let's just type the word green for now. Free is green. So notice there's some transparency. And so to remove this transparency, we will have to open, now we can close the color. We don't need it anymore. Open the lines, dots, and areas. We'll be spending a lot of time here in this section. So where it says opacity, the area, I want to make it 100% because that's the strength of this visualization. It's the saturation. And when the hand painting of it has an even more powerful um, effect visually. Okay, so um, we don't need all these data labels. We're gonna actually just annotate it in the center of this area. So we'll turn off these. So to turn off the legend, you find the legend, open it up and say, turn it off. That's fine. To turn off the labels on these at the end of this, you have to go to labels and show labels online. You can turn that off. That's good. One other genius design technique was the years right now at the bottom. Dubois puts it on the top. So how do we do that? We go to the x-axis. We say the position is on the top. So that was not too hard to do. The really you know um, stroke of genius is he removes and hides the y-axis. If you look back here, he's going to label the data points, and that's enough. You don't need the y-axis labels of all these numbers. That actually just makes it more cluttered. So we're going to hide this using the software. You open up the y-axis, axis hidden. This looks actually really like a piece of art. It's not so much a visualization with precise values. It's more conveying this very meaningful story. Okay, we have to just make the decision whether we want to show the data labels or we want to annotate these data labels. And I'll show you why I decided to annotate rather than show it. So that's just, close everything and open up the labels. Let's just see how it looks if we try to show the labels. I spent a lot of time tweaking it. The difference between this and his hand-painted data point labels is that these labels, just like any good software would do, puts the percentages along these data points in the chart. So 0 is here, 100 is here. And it shows both of them, both the free and the slave. If we go back, Dubois actually just needs one. He says, I only need the percentage that's free in the green, and I want to put the labels at the bottom of this area. And the 100, you were expected to be all the way at the bottom. No, he knows the visual gaze, the direction of the eye really attracts it to 100% here. So the software is never gonna be able to achieve this 100%. So the best we might be able to do is kind of do a hacky way of hiding the black values by making all the colors in the of these labels to be black. So there's a way to do that, and I'm not going to recommend we do it at the final as the final version. So so let's say we have auto match data contrast or fixed. I could do fixed. Can select the color black. You can click down here or you can choose this black. And it has the shadow, so we don't want the shadow. We're gonna turn off the outline shadow. So this is kind of getting what we want, right? You see this, and you can always adjust the number formatting by going to the number formatting, no decimals at all. So again, you have either one decimal, no decimal. You can't do the other effect. So this has the decimal point, and then you can put the percentage at the end like this by typing that. So far, so good. It's not ideal because, again, looking at the hand-painted one, the values labels are at the bottom, not at the top, because the top is too close and too crowded like this. So I gave up on using the label and I turned all the labels off. So let's go to the labels, turn off show label data point. a few other things. We want the heading text, so let's open the header, and we have to type in the words proportion of free men and slaves among American Negroes. So let's go to that. Um, all capital letters. Uh, Subtitle text is gonna be, I think, done by Atlanta Atlanta University. Okay, we can make it all centered. We can decrease the font size of this thing. So you can open up the styles. You should use custom font size. And I think one is about right. And then the other subtext, uh, subtitle should be much less than one. So we can make it like zero point 0.8 or 0.7. 0.8 would be fine. I would bold the years. So let's go to the x-axis. Um, with the axis labels, axis title. Let's try this. This is already bold. The ticks and values probably somewhere in here. Um, make it bold. Okay, I think it's pretty close. Maybe slightly smaller. Okay. I, then the footer in general, my best practice is Dubois doesn't need a footer, but for Flourish visualizations, you should put this data source so people can get to the data and some link to the original source. Um, so that's just as easy as just opening the footer and typing that in. And sure, get into the habit of doing that. Now, I think we're ready to do the annotations. We need to put the two big words here, which are slaves and free. And we want to put the data points here. And this is going to be tedious and imprecise, not very precise. But it creates this effect that's for the eyes to kind of follow this curve and then see the end result culminating in 100% free. So to do this in Flourish, you go to create a story. The reason Flourish needs annotations to be a story is because for any single chart, you cannot do the annotations. You cannot add anything on the annotation layer. There's no feature for annotating individual charts. But once you create a story, it's just like you have a PowerPoint slide, and you can put objects on top of the slide. So there's a secondary layer for annotations. Let's create the story. Click on this. Now you have the story. It's only one slide. That's fine. You can have multiple slides in the story. Um, and notice there's a pencil icon. That's when for annotation. So if you open this and it says select an annotation or create a new annotation by clicking anywhere in the visualization. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to click here and we're going to type in the keyword slaves, right? And the connector, we don't need any connector. And we're going to change the font styling and make it much bigger. Let's say 1.8 and then remove the outline and make sure the color in this case should be white, and the code for white is just 6F, F. Okay. The second annotation, I accidentally clicked already, so I just need to drag it over here. And we're gonna put 3. Okay, and we'll put it somewhere here. And that's basically it. That's how you annotate. You don't need a connector. And for all these numerical values, you do the same process. Uh, click here, and I believe it's 8%. So realize this is not generated by the software. This is not a precise, exact position of the 8%. But from a design perspective and due to the software's inability to be customized, we're going to manually put these percentages. So if you like to say percent and you need the next data points, you can click on duplicate and just now you have a copy of it. You can put it in the next data point. And the next point is 11%. So you just change this to 11. But you get the idea. You continue to do this and you have the final visualization. Let me just make sure I covered everything. We have the years, the annotations, the data labels, and the color green. And so now all you need to do is export and publish it. And make sure you also publish the original chart. So let's see what happens if you just publish this by itself. Let's take a look at the link. Yeah, so that's the final result. I think I'll stop it here because this is just knowing your way around Flourish as a good skill building exercise to replicate and reproduce this hand-drawn chart. And so that's it for this tutorial. Okay, enjoy, and I'll see you soon.